Namaste, my dear friends. From my spirit to yours, I welcome you here on Sunday Night Alive, coming to you every Sunday night live from Fort Myers, Florida. And we come together to have a spiritual minute together, a minute free from the madness and the craziness and the conflict, the worry, doubt, and fear of the world. And so I'm so happy you're joining me. My name is Reverend Denise Schubert. I am an ordained Science of Mind minister, have been doing this work since 2003, and currently retired from pulpit ministry, but loving always coming to you on our technology platforms because it's brilliant. It gives me meaningful work to do in my 70s and gives us time to connect no matter where we are in the world. So I'm so grateful for everything that this platform gives us the opportunity to do. So this is Sunday Night Alive. It is a forum for having conversations that matter, for coming out of the hustle and bustle and the uh, insanity, really, of our world to just remember for a moment who we are and to whom we belong. And so I welcome you here tonight. If you are here and you want to say hello, now listen, someone pointed out to me today that when I say hello to Susan, it's because she's posted a comment on my on the in the comments so I can see that she's here. But not everybody who comes on does the comments. They don't know who I'm talking to and why I'm not talking to them. So whoever you are, whether you're talking to me or not, I welcome you here. And hello, Susan, who just chatted. So tonight, I'm very excited. My topic tonight is Mission Possible. It's not as if I'm talking about anything new or revolutionary because always we talk about the same thing, which is to let's see, we talk about the same two or three things. One is to uh, identify correctly, identify ourselves, not just with being a human being living in the world with an ego, but to identify ourselves as timeless beings, spiritual beings. So we come together to remember that because the world's a crazy place. So it matters that we remember that we didn't make ourselves and then that we're not here alone, that there's some infinite intelligence, beauty, and wisdom that surrounds us. And maybe even more importantly for me is to remember that we are co-creators, that we are not victims, that we are not victims of circumstance. We're not victims of people, places, or conditions. We're not victims of our age. We're not victims of our health. We're not victims of the system. We're not victims of our government. We are, we're born. Remember the song, Born free as the wind blows. So I'm here to do testimony to freedom and to always attempt to incite that in you. That's why I'm here. It's why I take the time, and I think it's why you take the time as well. So I'm going to pray us in, which simply means to speak a word of blessing upon our time together, because why come together if it's not for a greater good? Not just for ourselves. You know, the other thing about this is that, sorry, the other thing about the work that we do here and the work that all spiritual teachers do really is it's not just about, it's a conundrum because it's not just about our own happiness, peace, and well-being. It's also about being a positive and practical influence on the world around us. And but you can't have one without the other. So we can't fix the world from a cranky place, and we can't fix ourselves without affecting the world. So there really is a juxtaposition of the personal and global, the personal and universal that we participate in because the truth, the ultimate spiritual truth, is that there's only one of us here. Like we are we, I was talking last weekend about prototypes. I think we talked about this a little bit last Sunday, that in God's heart and mind, there's a prototype of a zebra. and there's a prototype of an elephant. So it doesn't matter whether you're an Indian elephant or an African elephant. An elephant is an elephant. A zebra is a zebra. And there's only really one expressing in a multitude of ways. And that's true with us as well. So we might think we're separate and apart from each other or from others, but we're not. We are one. And so it is from that place I'm going to speak a word of blessing upon us. So take a moment and breathe. But under any circumstances, breathe. All circumstances, breathe. Because breathing allows us to follow the breath to the inside, to the depth of our being, to the place beyond the mind, to the place beyond our circumstances, to the place beyond what others think about us or what we should do or not do, to the place where we are connected to the infinite intelligence that sourced everything. And it is from that place that I meet you and greet you here tonight. And it's from that place that I invite you to meet and greet each other tonight, whether you can see each other or not see each other. It matters not. Do you understand? It matters not that your name is Susan, my name is Denise, your name is Frank, her name is Linda. We are, each and every one of us, intimately connected to each other and to this thing that we call spirit or intelligence or God. And so it's from that place of community and connection that I speak a word of blessing upon us, calling our time together productive and useful and uplifting. Maybe even we can stretch for inspirational, revolutionary, into some idea that can fundamentally alter the course of our lives and the course of our being. I want that for me and for you. And so I just simply bless our time together, calling it good, asking you to join me in that by saying, and so it is. Amen, amen, amen. Amen. So, the topic tonight is Mission Possible. It's just a kind of a cutesy thing I came up with, but kind of versus Mission Impossible, right? So possible means something that's able to be done or acquired or achieved, right? So if something's possible, it means that you can have it, that it can happen. Impossible means that it can't be done. It can't be done or it can't be achieved. Now, this is an important conversation because so many of us, really so many of us, are living in an impossibility frame of mind where something's not possible. In fact, some people tune into this and other spiritual teachings and other teachers teaching in hope somehow gleaning something that will enable you to believe in possibility. And I have to tell you, I talk to a lot of people, I do a lot of research, I'm engaged with a lot of conversations, and there's way more possibility thinking than possibility thinking. I mean, way more. Like, like, like if this were the scale, this is possibility thinking, this is possibility thinking, and this is impossibility thinking. So, for whatever reason, there is a tendency to think that our highest aspirations of joy, of peace, of happiness, contentment, of ending world hunger, of ending war, of ending poverty, and forgetting all that, just being happy and contented and fulfilled in our life is not the norm. It's the lack of norm. So we always have to come back to this conversation because you are a participant in the conversation, not a witness to the conversation. You are a active creator in the conditions of your own life and an active creator in the conditions of all life. So I love this quote by Julianne Moore. She says, "Show me your life and I'll show you your thoughts." And I love this. I remember Ernest Holmes said, when I was in my training, I remember first hearing this from Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith, and he said, Ernest Holmes, he was quoting Ernest Holmes, said, if you want to know what a person believes, what they think, what's important to them, where their priorities are, just look at their life. Look in their closet, look in their bank account, look into their relationships, look into the trunk of their car. And I remember wanting to throw up. It's like, oh my God, I have a little vomit in my throat right now because I understood, I immediately understood that he was creating a direct correlation between who I am and what my life is. A tougher correlation is who I am and what the world is. But the correlation is true and accurate, whether it's you personally or you, the world. So when we talk about Mission Possible, we're talking about the possibility of you and I achieving happiness, contentment, and peace in our lifetime. And I know this sounds really crazy when we talk about such things because it's like, well, of course, but it's not, of course. You know, I was just watching the news today and there was some, I'm not going to remember the details, but somebody opened fire in a school and killed children again today in our country, right? It's like we've had, I mean, the violence and the craziness, the neuroses, the lack of spiritual content and context is so pervasive that we must do something. We must. I must. So the only thing I can do is what I can do. The only thing you can do is what you can do, right? What I can do is always work on myself, my own ability to forgive, my own ability to be patient and tolerant, my own ability to bring forth love, even in the face of hate, my own ability to forgive people who do atrocious things, because as also my teacher said, one of my teachers said, how you approach the person who fired the gun is with compassion for their lack of understanding. So their lack of understanding is their lack of understanding that they are amazing human beings, that they are perfect, that they are loved and beloved, that they are birthless and deathless, that they are held and cradled by that which created them. So so there was a so there's kind of as I move through this work that I do, and I've been doing it for a long time. And by the way, if you've been with me for any length of time at all, I went back over some old Sunday Night Lives. I've really been saying the same things over and over. And for those of you who have been with me, sometimes you must get bored about what I say and what I don't say because it's always the same. It's like you are a co-creator, God is real, you're held in the bosom of love. But we just have to keep talking about it because we need reminders. We do need reminders. So Mission Possible, we have to make it personal because if it's not personal, it won't motivate us. So we have to be motivated from within to change. We have to be motivated. You know, you have the results, all the reasons why you don't. Don't make this too harsh. It's actually more the depth of our believing in Mission Impossible. It actually represents the depth of our believing that uh, we are at the mercy of circumstances. We're at the mercy of our history. We're at the mercy of our bosses. We're at the mercy of our spouses. We're at the mercy of our siblings. We're at the mercy of our employers. We're at the mercy of our politicians. Well, I'm going to come back to this in a minute, but it's very important because there is, you know, there was a beautiful quote. I don't think I have it here, from Eric Butterworth in his book Celebrate Yourself. I'm not sure that's where it's from, but it doesn't matter. Where it talks about how there are people on this earth and in our past who have been who have wooed and wed a spiritual presence and essence and made it a part of their being. And when you do that, you then have a power not of this world. You have a power not born from your parents or your past. So, so a couple of other quotes that I find brilliant in here. Sorry, my nose is itching. To be an overachiever, you have to be an overbeliever, because you have to believe in possibility. You have to believe that what is isn't the whole story. You have to believe that something is possible beyond what is. You have to believe that just because you can see it, touch it, taste it, feel it, smell it, doesn't mean it's the end game. It's not the end game. It's just what is in the moment. You know, I often say that this world we live in, all of it, nothing left out, is a crude and temporary representation of consciousness, of past consciousness, mine and ours. So if we're living in a world where kids can still kill kids and war still happens and hunger still happens, it's not because it's inevitable. It's because we haven't changed. We haven't awoken. We haven't awakened to our spiritual identity, to the love that is the truth of who we are. So another quote is a beautiful one that says, a man who lives, and I want to say here, this actually quote means a man who lives fully, a man who lives awakened, never asks what is life or what is living, because they're too busy living, they're too busy creating, they're too busy paving the way, they're too busy enjoying and smelling the roses, they're too busy feeling contentment and happiness. He says, it is only the half alive who talk about the purpose of life. This was Krishnamurti, really one of my favorite Indian teachers. If you are not, if you have never availed yourself to the wisdom of Krishnamurti, you should, because he was a really truly brilliant spiritual teacher. But there's another way. Dr. Michael used to say that most human beings, most of the 8 billion people on the planet, are doing something they're not aware that they're doing until they stop doing it, which is to be sleepwalking through life, which is not an insult. It just means to not be fully awake, to think that the past is real, that this is real, that everything on the internet is true, where we so are looking to the outside to inform us or guide us as to what is real or possible. You know, my newest teacher, Sadhguru, from Inner Engineering, he said the same thing. He said an alive person never asks, what is the purpose of life? Because the alive person, awakened person, enlightened person, which simply means, oh, an enlightened person simply means one who has identified the separation, wrong word, who has identified the distinction between the ego self and the spiritual self, the ego self and the God self, the victim self and the victor self. And they are two very separate, they're very, very separate. So if your life or the life of the people you love isn't exactly heaven on earth, whatever that means, and there's all kinds of degrees of suffering and unaliveness, then we almost have to look at what the master teachers have taught, right? What have the master teachers taught us that we can pull in here? So we do know, all of them really, Jesus said, it is done unto you as you believe. The Buddha said, with our thoughts, the world arises, right? So both of these quotes are speaking to our role in the outcome. the power of our thoughts, the power of our minds. Now, we have to draw a distinction here because we have a brain which contains some capacity to retain memory and to draw conclusions and to think. But unfortunately, we've come to think that what we think is true or real. But there is another level of mind. So there's the ego mind, and then there's the spirit mind, and they are not the same. So the spirit trumps the ego every single time. So when we are operating from a higher level of thought, and I really just mean when I say that, nothing too prestigious or ta-ta, but that when you have made the distinction for yourself that there is something beyond your humanity, something beyond your flesh and blood, something beyond what's in your brain, your conditioned brain, your conditioned self, that self you believe yourself to be based on history, the past, what you've been told and taught. Once that distinction is made, it could be said that you are now awake, or you are now enlightened, or you are now thinking in a different capacity than you can think or create from purely the ego mind. So there was a couple of wonderful things. I'm not really a Bible scholar in any way, though we do, in my philosophy, faith, and way of life, we do love the teachings of the New Testament, really, because Jesus, keep in mind, Jesus was our way shower. If you're a Buddhist, it was the Buddha. If you're a Christian, it's Jesus. If you're Islam, so every religion has its teacher, and every teacher without the dogma is a light, a way shower into some higher state of consciousness, which can result in an elimination of this pain and suffering that we as human beings seem to just, I don't know, it's like we just gravitate towards it. But they all are pointing to this idea that we are participants. So let's pretend, what if we were to pretend that it's true? What if we were to pretend for a minute? And by the way, this is hard to do because remember the quote, you either have the results or all the reasons why you don't. It's easy to be in a skeptical, pessimistic place in this world, because if you only use the world as your barometer for sanity, then obviously we live in an insane place. That is it hopeless? Is it inevitable? Are we just trying to get by? Are we trying to eke out a life? No, that's not the promise. It's not the promise. The promise is a resplendent life, a glorious life, a happy life, a life of well-being, a life of purpose and meaning, a life of enjoyment. That's the life we all should be living. So if we pretended for a moment that it's all true, let's pretend that what you believe does dictate what happens. Let's pretend for a moment that our thoughts, our beliefs play a major role in what happens to us. Major, not minor, major. So then if we pretend that that's true, then is your new job possible or impossible? Now keep in mind here, I'm getting really close. You can like really listen to this carefully. Reality happens for you and for the world. I'm getting even closer. Listen really close while I whisper. Reality happens right where your thoughts, when I say that something happens for you, something comes up, is the new job you want possible or impossible? Is why or why not? Why or why not is your answer. Is a loving, mutually beneficial relationship for you possible or impossible? And why or why not? This is very practical. This is very practical. You should be getting really close to me. Come on, snuggle up. Right? Is physical, emotional, or psychological healing possible? Really? I mean, if you have breast cancer, if you have depression, if you have unforgiveness, if you have anxiety, are the healings of those conditions possible or impossible? Why or why not? I implore you to know that in God all things are possible. In this intelligent universe we live in, all things are possible. The question is, are they possible for you? Is a healing of your physical condition possible? Is happiness possible? So this is a very, very important question, and we're not going to answer the question in our 20 minutes together. Do you understand? We're not going to, I mean, this isn't a therapy session. It's not, we're not having time to talk to each other. So you kind of have to catch what I'm saying in consciousness and ascertain for yourself whether you have work to do in this area of belief. You know, there are two places in the Bible, I never finished this thought, where I'm going to give you the answer, because part of my invitation tonight was, what will it take? Like, what needs to happen for you to accept mission possible? Like for you to actually bring forth the chutzpah, the tenacity, the commitment, the no matter whatness that you need to bring forward to alter your life in amazing, miraculous, I don't understand how this happened kind of ways. Because there are a couple of things you need to do. In Corinthians, Jesus said to his followers, you must come out from among them. Meaning, you can't stay in the consciousness of society and hope to come up with a new idea. So you can't stay in the way that most people think, or the way that most people want to live, and successfully find your way into unconditional happiness, peace, joy, and well-being. You have to come out from among them. You have to be willing to come out. Now, this is not easy. I'm going to show you a slide in a moment I saw on the internet from one of my dear friends, Jessie, in Nairobi, which I loved. There's another place in the Bible where it says you cannot serve two masters simultaneously. So you cannot serve fear and faith at the same time. It's one or the other. So the question would be then, what are you serving? Are you not doing what you long to do or want to do or love to do or being called to do, your intuition is telling you to do, because you're afraid or because you have little faith? You can't do both. You can't serve love and hate at the same time. So you can't stand on one side of the fence saying I'm a loving, compassionate, forgiving person, and then hold somebody hostage in your mind, throwing hand grenades at them. It can't be both. You have to choose one or the other. So the biggest, I would say, that one obstacle is purely just understanding the role belief has in the way life unfolds. Because so for me, I can only speak for myself, and I would not be here if I didn't know this for myself, if I haven't proved it for myself. I am 73 years old. I came from the same place you came from. I came from the same kind of parents you came from, the same upbringing you came from. I was born and raised in the 50s as a woman. I've been, I've been disrespected, molested, lied to, cheated on, betrayed, just like everyone else, right? I've had good times and bad times. I've had money, no money. And I am here to tell you that when Ernest Holmes said, change your thinking, change your life, he meant change your thinking and your life will change. So you have to change for your life to change. And there is no other way. There's no other way than to change consciousness. And right now, the world is a pretty big place and it's pretty screwed up, really. So we can't really try to change the world from our position because our position is what's created that world. Now, you may not think you're responsible for the world, but you are. We are all responsible for everything. So once your side of the street is clean and you've forgiven, you've done your work, you're bringing love to every situation, you're working on yourself, then we will all affect the global landscape. That's how it will work. We change, the world change. Global transformation requires personal transformation first. So, uh, so I'm going to show you my quote from Jessie from Nairobi today. Here's her quote, and I love this. She said, as you evolve, you will make a lot of people uncomfortable. Evolve anyway. It's a good one. It's a good one because it is the absolute truth that if you decide to not be the same person you were yesterday, there are people in your life who are going to be confused by it, annoyed by it. They're not going to like the choices you make. They may not like who you vote for. They may not like who you go to work for. They may not like who you stay married to or marry. In the end game, you are going to be laying on your deathbed. The spirit within you, because you are a spirit, you are not purely and only human, you are a spirit. The spirit within you, you want to know that you lived you perfectly. And each one's unique. So there's no right way to do this. There's just there's a way of integrity, a way of wholeness to be your true authentic self. And being your true authentic self might make some people uncomfortable. Be your true authentic self anyway. So so I encourage us all to do this, because if we are truly, if I can't even ask this question and think it has any value, because I know for myself that it's not true. I mean, I've seen too many people transform, too many people wake up, too many people, not enough people, by the way, because it's hard. And it's hard because you have to rock the boat. You have to come out from among them. You have to think your own thoughts. You have to make your own choices. You have to break family traditions. You have to break cultural traditions. You have to be somebody different than everyone expects you to be. Listen, it took 50, 60, 40, 80 years for you to get this way, right? So give it a little time to become a different way. I promise you, you will be so much happier, and so ultimately, after a little bit of discomfort, a little bit, because change is a little bit uncomfortable, because you might have a little loneliness along the way, or you might have a little, oh my God, what am I doing? Like a little, oh my God, what am I doing? But it's okay. It's okay. Love will meet you right where you are. Because if we're powerless, if we really have no if we have no influence on our own lives, much less the lives of anyone else, why, I don't know, why bother? Like, really, why, why bother? So don't underestimate the power of your mind. Not your ego mind, but the mind of God that is truly your mind. So right underneath, right beyond the human mind. So the ego mind is disconnected because we mistake the thoughts in our brain for mind. It's just our brain. Our brain is an organ. Uh, right behind that, there is a spiritual mind, a I would call it the mind of God, but you call the mind of universal intelligence, the mind of love, or the mind of wisdom that your mind is connected to. All of our minds are connected to it. So if we can recognize that and live from it, the quality and quantity of our lives becomes much more exciting and wonderful. So I say join with me tonight in repudiating Mission Impossible and move into a consciousness of all things are possible, mission possible. And no matter what it is, no matter what it is, whether you want a job, whether you want money, whether you want happiness, whether you want health. And by the way, listen, the whole New Thought movement, the whole metaphysical movement of the 19th century, 20th century originated in healing the body of dire physical diseases. Do not think for 1 minute that you have no control over your cancer, over your heart, over your diabetes, over your anxiety. Do not think for 1 minute that you cannot affect and have a positive influence on your healing. Somebody out there, listen carefully. You can be healed from those conditions. What's required to be healed from those conditions? I'm waiting for you to tell me what can be healed from those conditions. I think it's gonna be belief and faith. All right, Mission Possible. And hello to everyone who's with me tonight, whether you're chatting or not. I'm so glad you joined me. So, I think that's it for tonight. I'm going to pray us out, though. Look, I'm going back. I'm going back to South Africa, October 23rd, October 23rd through January 15th. Now, I want to invite you into a game. A game. So I'm trying to raise money for my trip. And here's how I want to do two things. One is, as you know, I'm a photographer. I've won some awards for my photography. So I want to offer my photography as I think they make great Christmas gifts. I'm going to show you some samples. So these are all award-winning photographs that I've taken. So I have 18 of them. And yes, I am trying to sell you a little something here. Some of these you see in the background when we talk. And I know I'm going too fast, but I just want to do the invitation, and then I will tell you a little bit how to avail yourself. So I want to offer these for the holidays, one for 150 and two for 250, 16 by 20 canvas that I will ship directly to you. So I'm going to post this on my website tomorrow, so you can go to my website at deniseschubert.com and you can order them. I will have all 18 there, and you can choose. You can say which ones you want, and I'm going to have them made and shipped to you directly. So 150 for one, 250 for two. I also would invite you into a life coaching session with me sometime between now and October 23rd when I leave. Now, my plan is to continue to do this stream. I don't know if I'm going to do it Sunday nights because I won't be able to be with you because I would have to stay up till midnight, which is not too pleasant for me. So I may move from Sunday night alive to Saturday morning alive. do it Saturday mornings instead of Sunday nights for the 6 months that I'll be in South Africa. But your donations and your participating in this game I'm playing will help me to continue to do that while I'm gone. You can also go to my website for my written blogs, which I'll send out one this week, as well as to sign up for a coaching session or to simply just donate money just because you get spiritual food from our being together. So no pressure anywhere. I'm just enrolling you and supporting yourself and me in a way that enlivens life itself. So, all right. So that's the end of Sunday Night Alive this week. Let me pray us out. Praying us out is exactly the way as praying us in, except instead of blessing our time together, we're giving thanks for our time together. And I am always, always grateful to come together with you whenever we come together. And so, with your longings and desires in mind, those that feel possible, and also those, more importantly, that feel impossible, the ones you're trying to stretch to believe that they can actually happen for you, in the next minute or two, while I pray, I want you to believe that anything that you want is possible. You know, Jesus, the master teacher, did admonish us to only want what was good for all. So our belief and our prayers work best when what we want, what we desire, and what we long for harms no one, costs no one anything. That you cannot have really what you cannot allow other people to have, which is why forgiveness and tolerance and patience is so critical to our spiritual growth. So, but for now, as I pray, just close your eyes and let me know the truth for you about those impossible things. Yes? All right. So let's turn within together. Turning within simply means turning away from the world, allowing the world to simply be where it is. Do not get caught up in it. Do not buy into it. Do not think it's made of concrete. It is not. It is a fluctuating thing of consciousness. So we simply turn within to that place within us that is participating in creation, that place within us that the seeds of divinity planted within us, the love within us, the peace within us, the capacity for forgiveness within us. It is there, regardless of what's happened to us, who did what, the suffering we've endured, the suffering we've caused, all of it erased in this moment. We erase it with our minds. We know that if we had known better, we would have done better. That's what we know. If you had known better, you would have done better. If they had known better, they would have done better. If we were awake and they were awake, it would have been a whole different story. So we're going to start from that whole new story, which is that you and I are unique, individualized expressions of love, made for the purpose of happiness and peace and giving and forgiving, made for the purpose of contributing and uplifting. That's why if we're here, that's why we're here, is to add to life, not subtract from life. And so I know that this seed of divinity within me is the same seed of divinity within you, that we are connected at the level of the spirit, and our names, our ethnicities, our genders, our country of origin are irrelevant in this conversation. We are one. And so it is from that place of community and connection that I speak this word for and about each person here with me tonight, each person within the sound of my voice, to simply say and to acknowledge, to proclaim and accept the integrity of our being, and to know that nothing is impossible for the one who believes. Nothing. Nothing. That our bodies and our cells, our hearts, our organs, our body of affairs all respond to positive expectation, all respond to forgiveness, all respond to acceptance of that which is unseen and invisible. And so I throw a gauntlet at your heart tonight to dream your dreams, believing that they can come to pass. Dream your dreams, long for your longings. Like, be bodacious in the creation of a life that you will love. Do what you love. Take pictures, write books, sing songs, work with people, be a teacher, be a doctor, be a photographer. Be whatever your heart wants you to be. And watch as the world begins to clothe that dream with flesh, begins to move the molecules around so that it comes to pass. And it will come to pass. It will. Oh my God, this is like a pep talk for myself. So I just simply am grateful for speaking the word for us all, grateful for the truth that we live in a possibility world. We live in a changing world, that we are not stuck with what has been in any way, shape, or form. I say let's go for the results and not all the reasons why we don't have them. The reasons are like snow on a hot sidewalk. They melt when you change your mind. And so for this and so much more, I'm grateful for our time together tonight. I release these words expecting the fulfillment of them. Invite you to do the same and joining me by saying, and so it is. Amen, amen, amen. All right, check out my website tomorrow. Order your Christmas presents for your loved ones from my amazing photographs. I appreciate your support. I'm accepting the I'm accepting the funds I need easily and effortlessly, and hope that the mutual exchange of good is beneficial to all. And so peace and blessings to you. I will see you sometime between now and next Sunday. If not, I will see you at Sunday Night Alive next week. Have a wonderful evening.